Good afternoon. Calling our meeting to order at 5:30 p.m. At this time, we'll have our Lynn Haven Police Department Chaplain, Chaplain Stevens, to come and lead us in our prayer and pledge of allegiance.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you today praying blessings upon our elected leadership, our mayor, our city commissioners, our police and fire chiefs, and the officers that serve to protect our city, and the support staff that faithfully serve the citizens of Lynn Haven. Strengthen them with wisdom and grace for the heavy burdens they carry, and may they manage their teams and their projects with wisdom and discernment. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Remain standing for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This time we have our public commentary. All right. Being no public commentary, we'll move on to our mayor's report. So in regards to the mayor's report, I just want to share a few things that I've been able to do over the past few weeks. In regards to citizens' concerns, have not had any, pressing phone calls regarding concerns from our citizens. Have had some communication, through just public interaction with various citizens who just were happy with the things that were happening in Lynn Haven and commended our city manager and our staff on the wonderful job that they're doing in making Lynn Haven certainly a better place for us all to live and enjoy. And so those are the major, concerns, or really more compliments and just uplifts for our staff. And so I do want to thank our city manager for the diligence of her work, as well as for our staff that works alongside of her to bring the visions and the plans that we all come together to make, to bring those things into fruition. So I'm certainly grateful and thankful for that. In regards to community engagement, as I mentioned at the last session, had a chance to go to the Vietnam Veterans Day celebration over at Tyndall, and so that was a great celebration. Also had a chance to come out to the spring concert series. Haven't had a chance to come to every night, so I don't have perfect attendance, but the nights I've been able to come out, I've certainly have enjoyed the music, and it seems like the community was enjoying the music as well. I've had to go to a few softball games on Friday nights and some other family activities as well, but those certainly have been enjoyable. And in regards to our work at the Capitol and what we've been doing there, recently I went over to the Northwest Florida League of Cities that was held in Crestview, and from there was able to receive or honored with the Home Rule Hero Award for 2022 from the Florida League of Cities, just from the efforts of working there at the state capitol, writing letters, making phone calls, just trying to reach out to the different representatives that represent us. And right now, as part of the task force, working with Congressman Dunn to see if we can have like a community town hall via Zoom is the next project that I'm working on with the Florida League of Cities. And so honored, surprised at the same time to receive the Home Rule Hero Award. So just encourage all of us as commissioners to just continue to advocate for our city, which we all do, but certainly continue to advocate for our citizens and let others know that we are advocating, because especially the Florida League of Cities, they're our representatives as well, and so they provide us a lot of leverage whenever they can weigh in on the same issues and items that we have that we want to address. So also this past Friday, I had a chance to go and bring greetings at the pre-med awards honor and banquet reception there for Mosley High School, and so that was real nice. They had 150 students, and so they had me to sit at the Mosley administration table, and so I had a chance to go on stage and shake 150 hands of each student. They got their medallion and their white coats, and and all of that. And it was a double honor. My daughter's in the pre-med program at Mosley, so I had a chance to see her get her white coat and give her, shake her hand and give her a hug and all that. So, so that was real fun. It was a long evening, especially that morning. I went over to Florida State as part of their luncheon for the Kinsley program, or the Kinsley African American History Collection. Opened up on Friday, and so encourage everyone to go out and see those various artifacts they have. We had a nice display here during our Black History Month with local residents providing some of the artifacts and memorabilia and artwork that they have from just personal collections. But this collection has over 700 items in it. And so this was something that was planned back in 2017, and then Hurricane Michael happened. And so Florida State University, Panama City has been very diligent with Dean Hanna to try to get that back, or to try to get it here. And so it is there, I believe, through July the 17th. And so just encourage you to look it up, see when it's, when the operating hours are, and just encourage you to go out and to see that. So it was, that was a nice luncheon, and had a chance to just be representative of Lynn Haven in that setting as well. And they received us warmly, and was thankful for our attendance and participation in that. So just look forward to another great month coming up in May. I know our spring concert series is going to be continuing. I'm going to be hosting sort of a meeting with the mayor / hot dog kind of dinner thing. And so I'll make sure that we get a flyer out about that and get the official date for that. Try not to conflict with, the other city activities. So it may not be on a Friday or Saturday, maybe one of the nights during the week. And try not to conflict so much with sports either. And I think it's been pretty cool to see like the players of the week kind of thing. That's been good to see that, to recognize the players as well. So that's been fun. So that's my report. Commissioner Aldridge.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's see. I think the only notable thing, I'm like you, I didn't get really any complaints. I don't know if anybody on the board's been inundated with complaints, but it's just been a couple sporadic ones. And I think other than the one or two emails I may have received, let's see, I paid a lot of money in taxes last week, so I want to thank the federal government for being efficient. And that's my report.
Don't make so much money, man. You won't have to pay so much, man.
Is it my turn?
Commissioner Perno.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank all our city employees and first responders, and thank everybody who's here, who cares about our city. Thank y'all. I just emailed Miss Cecilia the minutes, or not the minutes, the agenda of the St. Andrew Bay, St. Joe Bay Estuary Program. There was a meeting today at FSU. I attended, of course, as a representative of Lynn Haven. And this was the first meeting in almost 2 years that we all got to meet face-to-face as a policy board and the management board together. So the management board was in place, the policy board was in place. We selected a policy board chairman, Councilman Phil Chester from Panama City Beach, and the co-chair is County Commissioner Bill Dozier. We went over the business of the estuary program as stated. It's still in its development, but it's also approaching addressing projects that need to be done. It's going to be quite the governing bureaucratic body when it gets done, because it's going to be in place for St. Joseph Bay, St. Andrews Bay, and all the communities within. So it's going to be the place to hopefully get funding for projects, get projects prioritized. The sky's the limit, and Jessica Graham is the director, and she's out of Florida State University, and she just does a wonderful job. But I wanted to make sure that possibly Miss Cecilia could put it in, in the minutes of our meeting, and because there's a little bit. I shared it with Frank because I put down a couple of people who I thought might want to serve on some of the subcommittees that they're going to be developing. Also, they asked that for us elected officials, because I may not be an elected official after a certain time, that we have a delegate from our city, someone who might want to be someone who comes to a meeting and actually can have proxy of the vote as well. I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but possibly someone like Chris Lightfoot or somebody who, somebody who is not elected official but can vote as the elected official in their place, so the board can continue to do business and have a quorum every time they have a meeting and so forth. So they had their challenges, and we were told by one of the administrators that it takes about 5 years to get one of these programs off the ground, and they said we're already ahead of the game after 2 years, and looking like it's going to be one of the most effective programs in the state. So,
Commissioner Perno, for those who may not be aware of the program, could you give us just a bit of a summary of what the program
well,
is?
I definitely can, and it's right here in the notes. I was going to actually read to everybody, but I didn't want to put everybody to sleep, but I will, okay?
Thank you.
The St. Andrews Bay watershed in the Central Florida Panhandle covers 1,156 square miles and includes the interconnected estuary system of St. Andrews Bay, West, North, and East Bays, and St. Joseph Bay. The watershed is one of the most biological diverse in North America and the only watershed in Northwest Florida located entirely within the state of Florida. Its lakes, streams, coastal waters sustain numerous species of fish, shellfish, and wildlife. Its wetlands and coastal barriers provide resiliency against storms and coastal change. The watershed and bays within provide significant ecological, economical, social, and recreational benefits to those living, working, and visiting the region. It offers essential resources supporting the area, maritime industry and naval operations, economic development, tourism, and a range of recreational activities. So it's it's the body that's going to protect and preserve and keep things like keep that watershed going. So. St. Joe Bay has their issues with turtle grass disappearing. Propellers on boats take it away. Hurricane Michael didn't do it justice. And turtle grass is where the scallops are, and people don't, if there's no scallops, people don't want to go scalloping in St. Joe Bay, so no one visits, So it's stuff like that, and then oyster refurbishment, just living shoreline that we met with the people for, so it's going to be a program that encompasses a lot of different, sewing things together for funding, for keeping things going, and keeping people coming to visit us for wanting to be around the water, not saying, hey, that place used to be a great place to go, so. With that, I'm proud to be part of the infancy of it and getting it off the ground. It's very, very special. I'm glad I was, glad I was the lone volunteer to do it. But it's been a great couple years doing it. So I look forward to it. And there was there were some folks there from Franklin's Promise, and they had said that Lynn Haven is now on their list as they could come and work here, and they're the people who. They had gotten in touch with Ty before, so the lady had said, so I was going to pass her information on to you. So, and with that, that's my report. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Perno. Commissioner Ward?
If I could ask a question, do you know when their meeting's going to be, or are they just sporadic? Or?
Well, this meeting was set for today. There's public workshops. They're going to start getting more out into the media about things. They said the next meeting is going to be in July.
So it's not set dates and times yet?
They potentially go for quarterly meetings, but since they had some issues in the beginning of the year with getting some of the workshops going and whatnot, so it's usually a quarterly meeting that you go to with these. But there's workshops that you might want to attend or listen to because information's gonna be brought to you at the quarterly meeting about the workshops.
Okay.
Okay.
As far as concerns from residents and that, the biggest thing I have is I know it's been a while since Hurricane Michael, and there's, if you drive around every once in a while, you'll see an area that the grass is overgrown and that. So I did get a phone call about that, and I did some driving around and looked around, and I got with the city manager, and we're looking at a couple of them for code enforcement to look at. But if you have a place that it doesn't look like it's habitable and things are overgrown and it just doesn't look right, then give code enforcement a call so they can go out and take a look at it. especially if it's, been abandoned, because then it becomes a health concern, so. 12th of April, I attended the grand opening of Harvest One Realty, which is right down the street here, right next to Compass Solar. It was a good event. One of the things I really liked was they were promoting a charity called Sleep in Heavenly Peace. And what it is they make beds for kids so they don't sleep on the floor. And I guess that's actually a problem here in Bay County. And so if you want to donate to that, you can donate money, you can donate pillows and linen and things like that. And I just thought it was a really great charity to donate to. I don't know if anybody listens to Veronica Live radio show. I listened to the one on 9th of April, and they had a special guest on there. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. Have you ever heard of Pastor Dr. Bruce Barton?
Yes, over at Central Baptist Church.
Yeah. So, no, actually, Commissioner Perna was on the radio show, and I thought you did a really good job. Some of the questions that they asked you, I wouldn't have had as good of an answer as you. I would have had to take me a little while to remember some of those things. And he actually said nice things about all of us, Even Aldridge said nice things about Aldridge, too, so.
It took me a while.
Yeah, so.
Maybe I'll go to the Libertarian meeting and they'll say nice things about me too.
Make you speak.
The last thing I wanted to address was at our last commission meeting, I know we already voted on this and that, but the FPL letter that we sent up, I just kind of got the feeling when we went over that, it was just, rates are going up, inflation's going up, and this is just the times we're living in. And it's actually more than that. I felt like that letter was really important. And I don't know if you guys got the, there's actually up at the Florida Supreme Court about the increasing rates with FPL. And not sure how it's going to go, but I read the whole thing. It was a 73-page thing. And I just want to give a quick synopsis of what I gathered out of the initial briefing out of it. And keep in mind, this is, there's a couple organizations, FAIR and Florida Rising, that are taking this to court. And in that initial brief is basically their side of the story as far as what those rates and why they shouldn't be at the rate shouldn't have been settled at what it was. But it also had testimony from the Public Service Commission hearing, which was back on the 20th of September last year. I listened to the whole thing. It was about 7 hours and 56 minutes. And I learned quite a deal on there. But in the initial brief, it said, the public utility is granted a monopoly to provide service in a defined area. The utility commits to make necessary investments and to provide safe and reliable service to all customers desiring that service in its area at fair, just, and reasonable rates. And where those rates ensure that the utility recovers its reasonable cost of providing service, including a fair and reasonable return on its investment, including a fair and reasonable return on equity investment. The key issues and factors in rate cases such as this are the rate of return on common equity and the equity ratio to be used in setting the utility rates. The equity ratio refers to the proportion of utilities investment that is provided by common stockholders' equity. And so, looking at that, when you look at the return of equity, and then in the letter, one of the things that we focused on was the dividend payout, how they are the highest paying dividend payout out of the 39 investor-owned electrical utilities. And there's a positive direct correlation between return of equity and the dividend payouts. And so I'm glad we focused on that. So in the FPL settlement order, the Public Service Commission approved a return of equity of about 10.6%. And keep in mind, the national average is 9.5, and that all these rates should be set using that 10.6%, and it could be as great as 11.7% without FPL being deemed to be over-earning, and under certain market conditions, it could be as high as 11.8%. And although it's not expressly stated in the order, it's clear that FPL intends to continue using an equity ratio of 59.6%. And so when you look at the Duke energy settlement order, the PSC, Public Service Commission, approved a return of equity of 9.85% and an equity ratio of 53%. And you look at that and you're like, well, it's less than 1%, so it can't be that much, right? Well, when you're talking billions of dollars, it's a lot of money. So if you were to use that percentage, FPL would be getting $477 million less per year than what the Public Service Commission approved. And if you carry out over the 4-year term, that would result in customers paying $1.9 billion less than what was approved on the Public Service Commission. And if you look at the TACO settlement order, it's pretty similar numbers. Theirs is a little bit less. And one of the things I found interesting is, you know, when they look at a lot of different variables, and one of them is calculation of the depreciation surplus. And I don't want to get in the weeds of what all that means, because we could talk about that for quite a while. But FPL uses this one called Reserve Surplus Amortization Mechanism, otherwise known as RSAM, to calculate their depreciation surplus. And so in this initial brief, they argue that the court should reverse the Public Service Commission approval of the RSAM because of 3 different reasons. One was it has no specific statute authority to prove RSAM, which is unique to FPL in Florida and the United States. And one of the things I'll note is there's no other state utility regulatory authority in the United States that uses that mechanism, and nor has the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission approved such a mechanism. FPL is the only one, and they've been using it since 2010. So, also, the PSC has not approved such a mechanism. Oh, yeah. Also, the second one they say is RSAM violates Section 366.06, subsection 1 of the Florida statute by allowing FPL to keep for itself customer paid for value that is not otherwise allowed to recover in its rates. So what this means is the Public Service Commission would allow FPL to keep for itself and its sole shareholders the excess depreciation expense paid by FPL's customers to increase FPL's earnings instead of returning the depreciation surplus to the customers whose overpayments created it. The RSAM allows FPL to unnecessarily in equity transfer up to $1.45 billion of ratepayer funds, which is the depreciation reserve surplus, to FPL and its sole shareholders. And normally a reserve surplus would accrue to the benefit of ratepayers through lower customer rates. There's a little bit of exaggeration in there in that, but what I'll get at is when I watched the Public Service Commission back in September, pretty much FPL can use that surplus at their discretion. They can use it however they want. So if they want to use it to lower rates, they can, but if they want to use it to pay out dividend share outs, they can use it for that too. And the third point was that it violates Section 366.06, subsection 1 by virtually ensuring that FPL will earn returns greater than the recognized fair, just, and reasonable rate of return on the common equity component of its capital structure. However, under the RSAM, the reserve surplus is expected to be used by FPL, as FPL has used it for the past 4 years to earn return of equity at the top of its authorized range. FPL's earned return of equities of 11.6% in 2018, 11.6% in 2019, 11.6% in 2020, and it looks like it's going to be 11.6% in 2021. And watching the Public Service Commission, and FPL pretty much came out and said this, that return of equity doesn't matter. What matters is whether their rate is fair and reasonable. So they think that the return of equity can be as high as what they want, as long as the rate that the customers get is fair and reasonable. And so there's going to be additional increases to take effect in January 2023, and additional increases to take effect at unspecified times in 2024 and 2025. FPL submitted minimum filing requirements only for years 2022 and 23, but they did not submit minimum filing requirements for 2024 and 25. And then the last thing I'll go over is the automatic tax rate. They say the Public Service Commission exceeded statutory authority when it approved the automatic tax rate increase provision of the 2021 FPL settlement. The settlement provides that if a permanent federal or state tax changes are enacted effective for any tax year from 2022 to the term of 2021 FPL settlement, which is out to 2025, the impacts of the tax changes on the base revenue requirement for retail customers will be adjusted through a prospective adjustment to base rates. So in other words, if tax rates are increased, FPL customers will be required to pay more without regard to whether any rate increases are necessary to ensure that FPL rates are fair, just, reasonable, and sufficient to enable FPL to provide safe and reliable service and pay its bills. And along with that, they're saying the statute clearly provides that the Public Service Commission is to change rates only when it has conducted a hearing and determined that the rates to be changed are unjust, unreasonable, insufficient, excessive, unjustly discriminatory, or preferential, or in any ways in violation of law. So what I'll say about that is, even if FPL wants to lower their rates, they can't do it unless they get approval from the Public Service Commission. Every time there's a rate change, it has to go through the Public Service Commission. So I know that was a lot of information. I probably put some people to sleep. So
Commissioner Warwick,
go ahead.
Towards the beginning, I missed a part. Can you start over?
Sure. You want me to go ahead? So I guess, and there's a lot of other information I can go over, but I just want to make sure that we all understand that it's not just of the rate of inflation. There's a lot of other factors in this, and there's some other things I learned from the Public Service Commission that I could go over, but it would take a while. And I just want to make sure that we all understand that, to me, this is a big deal. It's not just the times we're living in.
For clarity, I can't speak for the other commissioners. I don't think we were trying to give you the feedback that this isn't a big deal, because all of us are being impacted by it. I mean,
Yeah,
we're
are.
not omitted because we're commissioners that we don't pay FPL because our lights get turned off if we don't. For me, the clarity was on whose fault is it that the rate was passed and that it increased, because even in your summarization there of the reading, I heard about FPL, but there wasn't very much comparison about how has the Public Service Commission treated, other than like Duke Energy, other rate increases.
Right.
And so if I'm an owner, whether it's a monopoly, whether it's a free enterprise, I'm going to want more money, period. No matter what, the rates are supposed to be fair and just, I'm just going to want more money as a business owner. And so if FPL can't increase or decrease their rates because of the Public Service Commission, the only clarity I was trying to receive the last meeting, for the sake of the public and even for myself, is that are we going after or are we addressing the Public Service Commission for increasing the rate?
Yeah.
But it seemed like we were just focusing on the fact that FPL asked for more money, and the Public Service Commission could have easily denied their request. So it's not, I don't know if should we be upset that FPL asked for more money, or the fact that the Public Service Commission actually improved their rate?
Public Service Commission approved the rate. That's the way I look at it. Because, like I said before, if I was FPL, I mean, I'm sure most of your investor-owned utilities, they probably ask for more than what they really need. And that's probably part of the negotiation. And that's why it's important for the Public Service Commission to look at all those and make sure that it's in proper balance between excessive profits versus a fair and just rate.
So just, like I said, clarity for me was that I think it is a big deal. We're hearing from our community. We see how many petitions have been signed. We see the lawsuits that are going on. Even other communities talking about starting, utility companies. So certainly realize it is a big deal.
Yeah.
However, who do we put the burden on for
Right.
this happening? Do we put it on the FPL, or do we put it on
Public
the
Service
Public
Commission.
Service Commission? And I was unclear. It seemed as if though we were writing the letter to the Public Service Commission, we were putting the burden on FPL because they made the request, versus saying, okay, let's put the burden on the Public Service Commission for approving the rate. Because even now, if they decrease the rate, we're still going to have to put the share of the burden on the Public Service Commission. And even then, you could go to the extent of who appointed the individuals on the Public Service Commission.
Right.
And could we ask for new appointees, or when do their terms go up? And is there someone else you would like to see appointed to the Public Service Commission that might see rates differently?
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you want to watch the Public Service Commission hearing, you're more than welcome to watch that too. 7 hours, 56 minutes.
I like Cliff Notes. Thank you for those. So I appreciate that.
But the last thing I'll say is, this is just one side of the argument. They don't get the other side until sometime in July. They ask for an extension, so I'll be I'll be looking at that, of course, whenever that comes out.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Commissioner Tender.
Well, let me get my sheets out. No. I'm just kidding. I'm so glad you're on this commission because you are definitely the numbers man, and I rely on you when it comes to numbers. I don't have much to report today. The light at Carsamara across the Bailey Bridge is finally fixed, and the neighbors there are thrilled to death. So that's worth it right there. And the only other thing I have is I'm going to request that I be on the agenda the next meeting to talk about city vehicles and new employees.
Right. So city manager did send that request to me regarding that agenda item, and I think that's something you need to follow with city manager and staff on, because as a commission, we don't make decisions on that.
Right. Well, my thing was the city manager said that you said that we were not going to have a Friday morning meeting and that
Correct.
I could discuss it in my report. The only difference is when you discuss it in your report, you can't discuss and vote. So I'd rather be on the agenda.
So what
and
are
then
we-
we can talk about it in the pre-meeting.
But the question is, what are we voting on?
The subject I want to talk about,
Okay.
new employees and
So what
city-owned vehicles.
would we be voting on regarding new employees? That's a HR issue. That's not a
Oh,
city
not an
commission
H.
issue.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about a employee.
No, I'm saying you're
no.
saying new employees. We're voting on new employees. We don't vote on employees. So I'm trying to understand, what are we
Okay.
voting on?
I would rather discuss it in the Friday pre-meeting, but it's not about voting on new employees or voting for an employee or anything.
But that's what you just said, though, that we're voting on. You want to discuss it so we can
I
vote
wanna
on
discuss-
employees and city vehicles. So what are we voting on regarding new employees and city vehicles is what I'm asking.
Oh, well, I would like to discuss with the commission how they feel about new employees being introduced at commission meetings for the protection of our residents. Number one, they have a face to go with the name. They do it in other municipalities, and I just think it's kind of a quaint, nice.
I'm not sure which municipalities they do it in. Could you be more clear on that? Because I've been to Panama City Commission meetings, and
Oh,
I've never
I
seen
know
them
they do it in
introduced.
Port St. Joe, for sure. And there's probably other places I can bring it, but,
Because right now
it's-
we have about 180 employees to introduce each new employee that comes.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
We have around 180 employees to introduce a new employee that comes to each commission meeting, or a new employee that
No,
comes.
I'm not suggesting all the employees show up at a commission meeting. What I wanted to discuss is introducing new employees when they're hired. You know, we have, and city manager had this happen. We had this happen just last year. A man pulled up in a white truck outside of a home, and he went, he didn't have a badge, he didn't have a logo on the truck, nothing. And you went to their house over
Yeah.
there on 12th and Tennessee. She went out there to see who it was.
But it
And
wasn't a city employee.
It-
Remember, it came back and
right.
it wasn't a city employee.
It was not a city employee.
Yeah, because it didn't.
So I just wanted to have a discussion about that and
Okay.
see if we can come up with possibly a new policy or something that would protect the residents.
So
you
one
know.
of the things we do, Commissioner Tender, is that, of course, everyone gets a city newsletters, that we have the photos of the new employees in our newsletter. That's one thing that we do. When we do our new city newsletter that we're working on, those new employees will be in there as well. If it's at a director level, usually I will tell you, you know, hey, as a director, here's a new director. The other thing that we have gone back to, because of Hurricane Michael, we didn't have anywhere to really swipe those badges. We all have gone back to our city badges. And so you'll see our city employees with their badges on. And so if they don't have a badge, if they don't have the city logo shirt on, those are brown, they're all dressed alike, then we know that, you know, they don't work with the city. And so those are things that we do to try to introduce them to not only our residents, but also to new employees and to you in our newsletter. So that's one thing. Those are several things that we do to make sure that they know about them.
Yeah, cool. Okay, that's my report.
All right, thank you. City manager?
Good stuff. Okay, just a couple of things I wanted to bring to your attention. Steph and I met on April's, I think it was the 14th, we did a visioning session to finish up our strategic goals and put those strategic goals in 3, 5, 7, 10-year plan. Now we're working on a booklet that at some point we'll bring back to the commission for you to look over and to approve as kind of an annual report as to how we're doing, what we're doing, and where those goals will go in the next couple of years. So we have been working on that now for almost a year. We took everything that you had, everything that staff had, and we merged it together and put those goals in place. And so hopefully we'll get that to you fairly soon once we made several adjustments to it. It was a really, really good meeting. We were there all day. We had great ideas. We kind of refocused, reset, because we are serious about serving the city with the utmost respect and at 100%. So I want to thank all staff that were there, and it was a long day, but it was a very, very productive day. Mid-year budget reports will always be, we try to have that the second Tuesday in May, and so we'll do a mid-year budget meeting. It'll probably be a workshop first before the commission meeting. I attended the honorary commander's induction a week and a half ago, and it was really good and really nice to be there. My commander is Commander Colin, and we've been working with him for 2 years, and just really, really enjoyed knowing more about Tyndall. We know that Tyndall had many families that lived here in the city of Lynn Haven that's coming back. It's going to be stronger than ever. I'm excited about how Tyndall is going to be looking in the next couple of years. Also, I just wanted to remind you also about 4th of July. We now have the vendor applications out, we have the sponsorship applications out, and we have the volunteer applications out. If you'd like to be a part of our big 4th of July celebration, our overall theme is we're proud to be an American. So please get ready for it, and if you know of anyone that wants to have a float, and I know our great commissioners, all of them will be on that one float together and throw out lots of candy. And we just remind Commissioner Perno, you don't dump the whole bag at one time. You give it in little bits, okay? Yeah. Yeah.
I did. I'm the one who said
Yeah.
whole bag. I've
Yeah.
been in many Mardi Gras.
We have the survey and the sign up for FPL, PSC on our website, and for people to go on and sign that petition. I think it'll be a good thing for our city to see how many of folks have signed off on that. Thank you again, Commissioner Work, for bringing that to us and asking us to do that. And then I think one of the residents had asked us about grants in Florida Avenue, the revitalization of Florida Avenue. Remember, we have that grant. That's a $4.5 million grant. We're waiting on some the final studies of the environmental side. Then it'll go out to bid just for the design, or for someone to do the designs. But before it gets to that point, we want to be able to meet with our, first of all, our businesses on Florida Avenue, because it's going to really revitalize Florida Avenue, and also our residents. So as soon as we get to that point, we will let you know. And Kiki, if you'll come and do a warrant list update.
Good evening. Questions about the warrant?
I just had, go ahead. I know normally I get with you beforehand, but I just had a question on the 415,000, says Quillian Powell. What's that one for?
The sports complex.
Okay.
That was the same question I had on the Quillen. Are they building the sports complex, or what exactly are they
It
doing?
is underway. Both phases are underway.
So they're the construction company?
Yes.
That's correct.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thanks.
And just a reminder, just so you know, just put in a mental note, we have 3 contractors that are out right now rebuilding big parts of the city, which is Culpeper doing the city hall, Quillian Powell is doing the sports complex, the gymnasium, and then BGN is doing, of course, the horizontal, the fields. the ball fields, the parks, and that's just a reminder. And that's my report.
Thank you. City Attorney?
No report.
Any questions for the City Attorney while we have him here?
Is he leaving?
No, we have to pay him when he's not here.
Oh,
So we have to pay him when we call him, so, he's being paid to be here, so any questions while we have him here?
You can tell Commissioner Miller that you can make a motion at any time. She knows that. You can make a motion in your report.
I can make a motion about what?
If you said that about not putting something on the agenda and not wanting to do anything, you're more than welcome to make a motion at any time during the meeting. You know that, right?
Okay. Well, I just requested to be on the agenda.
Any other questions for the City Attorney? All right, this time we have our consent agenda. Minutes from 4/12/22, regular meeting minutes. Permission to close 5th Street, Montana and 4th, Missouri and 4th for the 4th of July lineup. And also approval to occupy an RV at 1017 Michigan Avenue while our home is rebuilt by Florida Rebuild and a certificate of occupancy is issued.
So move.
I just had a question on the, for number 10, is there a timeline on that? Because normally don't we put in a,
Normally, we put a timeline on it. We probably
will we
want it-
normally give 6 months or,
Mhm.
so can we, do we need to pull it to do that or should we just put 6
You can
months?
just amend it and put one on there. So would you, with your motion, amend agenda item number 10?
Yeah, that's fine. What is our time length on that? Is it 6 months? Is that
Yes.
what it's supposed to be? Okay, then I amend the motion to move with the exception that this is maxed out at 6 months.
All right, so there's a motion.
Second?
All right, second for the consent agenda. City Manager, if you'll call the vote.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Commissioner Parno,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes. Motion passed. All right, old business, agenda item number 11, the final reading of Ordinance 1133, request for annexation, parcel number 12080-010-000, Hyatt Properties LLC. City Manager, if you would read this by title only, please.
Sure. An ordinance annexing into the municipal limits of the city of Lynn Haven, Florida, certain contiguous compact unincorporated land located in Bay County, Florida, for an approximate 1.44 plus acres of property, parcel number 12860-010-000, as is more particularly described herein, pursuant to Florida statutes, section 171.044, amending the boundaries of the city to include said land, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and reciting the effective date.
Okay. This is for ordinance number 1134, request for annexation, the final reading, public hearing. The owner is Hyatt Properties LLC, is also the applicant, Hyatt Properties LLC. The agent is Amir Zafar, who is present today. Parcel number 1286010-000, and the location is 225 Baldwin Road. Parcel size is approximately 1.44 acres, and it is contiguous to the city of Lynn Haven on the south and east side. The water and sewer is available. This is a property location map and the aerial map.
All right, are there any questions?
I was just wondering what happened to Amanda's accent, that's all.
It goes from English to Southern.
Any additional questions for Ms. Vicky?
No.
Okay.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All right, there's been a motion by Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Perno. Any commentary from the audience? All right. None. City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge, Aldrich?
Perno.
Perno, excuse me. Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Aldrich?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes, motion passed. Number 12, final reading of Ordinance 1134, request for small-scale future land use map amendment, parcel number 12860-010-000, Hyatt Properties LLC from Bay County Residential to City of Lynn Haven Mixed Use. City Manager, if you read this by title only, please.
Sure. An ordinance providing for the adoption pursuant to Chapter 163, Florida statutes of a land use change from Bay County Residential to City of Lynn Haven Mixed Use for an approximate 1.44 plus or minus acres of property located in 225 Baldwin Road in the City of Lynn Haven, Bay County, Florida, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith and providing an effective date.
Thank you.
Ordinance 1134, the small-scale future land use map amendment, the final reading, public hearing. The owner and applicant is Hyatt Properties, LLC. The agent is Amir Zafar, who is present in attendance tonight. Parcel number 12860010000, and the location is 225 Baldwin Road. Parcel size is approximately 1.44 acres. The existing future land use category is Bay County Residential. The requested future land use category is mixed use. The adjacent future land use map designations, north is Bay County Residential, south is Baldwin Road and City of Lynn Haven High Density Residential, east is City of Lynn Haven Commercial, and west is Bay County Residential. Again, the aerial map of the location. This is the existing map indicating the Bay County Residential, and this is the proposed map for the mixed use. Allowable uses in mixed use. This is just some informative information of allowable uses in mixed use, what could possibly be developed there in the future.
You're not going to read all those to us?
I'm sorry.
You're not going to read all those to us?
Oh, I
No,
can.
I'm just kidding.
Just teasing.
So of course it ranges anywhere from single family, multifamily to retail commercial. So
Thank you. Any questions? Any discussion from the commission?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, motion from Commissioner Warwick, second from Commissioner Perno. Any discussion from the public? City Manager, if you'll call the vote, please.
Commissioner Warwick?
Yes.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Aldrich?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes, motion passed. Agenda item number 13, thank you. Agenda item number 13, discussion and possible approval to award bid for 26th Street Sewer Force Main Improvements Award to L&K Contracting for $109,750.
Good afternoon. This was identified from our asset management plan as needing a priority replacement of a 3-inch sewer force main pipe with a larger diameter 6-inch pipe. Basically, it's a section of pressurized sewer pipe that goes from a 6 to a 3 back up to a 4. So it creates a bottleneck. So by doing this project, we had to reduce the scope to get to our current budget number for this. And you have before you the budget amount. We do have the budget for it.
Any questions for the Utilities Director?
Yes, sir. My main question is the difference in the bids. That the lowest bid is almost 3 times lower
Yes,
than
we
the
had.
second bid, and is that?
Yeah, that's very interesting. We did have some new players in the bid process, which I was happy to see, and you see some of the results.
Okay. Do we have to be concerned about them coming back and getting task order after task order?
No, this will be a phased construction. If we do see where we have some budget and could do the next section of phase, we would possibly look at doing a change order, but that's not our goal. We're going to stay tight to this.
Okay. Any additional questions?
Only question I have, I mean, I understand what Commissioner Tender is getting at with the difference in price. and this is just kind of a general question since this is coming up, is let's say we have a contractor and they come back and say, hey, we need more money. How does that process work? Do they go over a certain amount and we have to put it out for rebid?
It works on a change order process. Let's say we encounter some things in the field that weren't as designed. Let's say there's a big stormwater pipe right in the middle of the project that nobody knew about and wasn't designed for. That there's a change order process for that. Depends on the magnitude of that change order process. If it's over a certain amount, we would definitely be coming back to the commission to identify. We've done this before on the Highway 390 project on that side, where there were some things that nobody knew about. So we had to come back and ask for more.
So pretty much, I think the way we look at it is this something that was under their control or not under their control? And if it's something that was under their control and they're
Correct.
asking for a substantial
Yeah,
amount,
this
then we
was
have a problem.
designed, engineered, permitted from Dewberry, one of our engineer partners. We've got a real good idea of all the field stuff in this area. We've reduced the scope back to where we can stay on budget. And, we don't know what's buried, but we feel pretty comfortable there won't be a problem with this one.
And I think what I'm hearing from Commissioner Warwick is, how do we protect ourselves from awarding the lowest bidder
Right.
who has the intention of coming back just to make change orders to make up the
Sure.
difference in their lowest bid?
It's through the contracts management and through the project management side of it. Yeah. If you go through the bid documents, you'll see several areas where the low bidder came in, they had less mobilization. The bypass pumping was significantly lower than some of the other bidders. So there's, you can kind of go through and look at the bid documents to where the savings was.
And we also research the company to make sure they're they're known to be a bad actor or anything like that.
Right, as part of the...
They've done, L&R done some good work for us.
They have?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think,
L&R Contracting, they've done some good work for us.
and I think the chief does like a background check on them or something like that too.
That's all I have.
All right, any additional questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Aldridge, second by Commissioner Perno. Any discussion from the public? Yes.
Ryan Scray, 1702 Missouri. I get what both commissioners here are asking. You're asking about contractor responsibility. As somebody who works in government contracts for the past 12, 13 years, I understand what you're getting at. I have a question. Is this L&K Contracting out of Alabama? Taylor, Alabama? Is that where this company is located? Because there's a L&K Contracting that recently did work in Caryville out of Gulf County, and there's a public notice saying they successfully completed that job. That's the kind of stuff in my career field that you look at for those kind of positive affirmations. If it's the same company, they have a positive affirmation out of Gulf County. So that's the kind of stuff that I would assume that our city offices are doing. I think if the city manager would affirm, that's what they do, is those kinds of checks. So.
And then one of the things we also need to remember is when this is done by one of our engineers, then that is also part of their job, is to verify everything that comes through.
Yeah.
So we don't verify it. It actually goes through the engineering to do that.
Right.
Okay.
And it's not abnormal to see new firms come in well under
That's very true.
established firms, because the new firms will bid more aggressively because they're trying to establish themselves with that municipality or county government. We might, they might be willing to take a really small profit margin on this job in hopes to get good rapport and win more jobs in the future. So that's something to keep in mind too. But I appreciate you both calling out those concerns.
Any other public commentary? All right. City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes, motion passed.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 14, discussion and possible approval to name former Mayor Walter Kelly as the Grand Marshal for the July 4th Parade 2022.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Is it too late to make it?
No.
Okay. I would really love to table this until we have a pre-meeting to discuss it, but I felt like Mr. Kelly was featured last year in the 4th of July parade. I know that Sharon Sheffield was the Grand Marshal, and the past mayor rode with the commissioners on our float. I just feel like there's some other possibilities.
As always, next year.
All right, any further discussion?
Is this something that always comes to the commission to figure out who's going to be Grand Marshal for the parade?
As long as I've been here,
Has it?
it's been
Okay.
that we bring it to the
I just
commission.
didn't know.
Mr.
And on Mayor,
Walker. Yes, yes, sir.
and on Mayor Kelly's behalf, I don't know how many people in the room know him, but he's literally had a lifetime of service. I mean, it's been military service, service at the Pentagon. He served here at the city of Lynn Haven as mayor for many, many years. And I still speak with him or go have breakfast with him, pretty frequently. And he still cares deeply about this city. He still watches every meeting. He can converse with me about current issues. And he's trying to stay involved to the best of his abilities at this point.
Right.
So I just think it would be a special thing for Mayor Kelly if we could oblige that. But
Yeah, I don't have anything, against Mr. Kelly. In fact, when I went door to door, I actually knocked on his house and had a good conversation with him. And being a veteran, of course, I highly respect that. But has he been Grand Marshal before, or is this first
No,
time?
he's never been
Okay.
Grand Marshal.
All right.
And then last year, it was kind of a consensus thing, because I wanted to put him on there last year, and I think the majority, though, wanted to put Miss Sharon Sheffield. And I was like, that's fine, because I love her to pieces as
Yeah.
well, but we'd at least give him a little bit of honor there as well, but he was never Grand Marshal.
I would like us to consider in the future, I don't have anything against Mayor Kelly either. I would like us to consider featuring maybe some local hometown hero type people, people that have built up our community that are not politicians.
I have an idea on that, or Commissioner Tender, that I'm going to bring up at our next Friday meeting. We'll have probably an agenda item on that, and I think you're going to like it, but we'll discuss that coming up here soon.
Is there Grand Marshal for the Christmas parade too, or is it just this one?
It's just this one.
Okay.
All right, any further discussion? Any discussion from the public? City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes, motion passed. Meeting adjourned.